Before he was the youngest player to win the World Cup, before he wore the sacred number 10 for Barcelona, before the records, the fame, the fortune, he was a boy from a neighborhood most people tried to forget. A boy who grew up sharing one room with 10 people. A boy whose grandmother snuck onto a bus from Morocco with nothing but hope. This is not just a football story. This is a story about what happens when talent meets sacrifice, when a family's dream becomes a nation's hope. This is Lamine Yamal. Lamine Yamal Nasraoui Abana was born on July 13, 2007, in Esplugues de Llobregat. But his real home, his foundation, was here, in a residence for young parents where families shared communal meals and even smaller dreams. 10 people, one room, one bathroom. That was life. He would later recall, I grew up in a residence for young parents. It was like a communal dining hall where everyone was given food. Then we lived the typical situation where a friend had a house and let you stay in one room. But to understand Lamine, you must first understand the woman who made him possible. Fatima, his grandmother. In 1990, at 40 years old, she left Tangier alone. She didn't have papers. She didn't have money. She snuck onto a bus. She worked mornings, afternoons, and nights at a campsite at a nursing home, saving every cent to bring her children to Spain, one by one. Those same hands would later pack Lamine's training bag every morning. Those same eyes would watch him from the sidelines as he took his first steps toward greatness. His parents met in Barcelona, Sheila, from Equatorial Guinea, working wherever she could. Monir, from a village between Larache and Ksar El Kabir in Morocco. 2 immigrants, 1 son, and a name that tells its own story, Lamine Yamal. Named after 2 family friends who gave his parents money when they had nothing, just before he was born. When his parents separated, Lamine's world split in 2. His mother moved to Granollers, working at McDonald's to keep them afloat. His father stayed in Rocafonda. But the one constant, the anchor, was Fatima. She managed his daily routine. She made sure he got to training. She was the engine behind the dream. At 4 years old, Lamine kicked his first ball for CF La Torrida in Granollers. By 6, a scout from the most famous football academy on earth was watching him. By 7, he was gone, moving into La Masia, Barcelona's legendary youth academy, leaving behind the only life he knew. La Masia, the school of Cruyff, of Iniesta, of Messi, and now, of Lamine Yamal. But this wasn't just football school. It was life school. He would study during the day, train in the evening, and think of his mother working the night shift at McDonald's. His idols? Ronaldinho, Messi, Neymar, Barcelona royalty. And one day, he would wear the same shirt they did. April 29, 2023. Barcelona versus Real Betis. A 15-year-old, 291 days old, steps onto the Camp Nou turf. He breaks a record that had stood since 1922. Lamine Yamal becomes the youngest player in Barcelona's 124-year history. October 2023. Youngest scorer in La Liga history. November 2023. Youngest starter in Champions League history. September 2023. Youngest player ever to debut for Spain. And in that same match against Georgia, youngest goalscorer for La Roja. Every time he stepped on the pitch, history rewrote itself. Then came the summer of 2024, the European Championship in Germany. At 16 years old, an age when most teenagers are begging their parents for a later curfew, Lamine Yamal was starting for Spain. He became the youngest player to ever appear at a European Championship, the youngest to ever score at one, the youngest to play in a final, and when the dust settled, the youngest to ever win it. But there was one moment, one strike, that changed everything. The semi-final against France. 16 years, 362 days old. Outside the box. One touch. A curl so perfect it seemed to defy physics. Top corner. No goalkeeper on earth was saving that. It broke a 20-year record. It won goal of the tournament. And in that moment, the world stopped calling him a prodigy and started calling him inevitable. Spain were European champions. And Lamine Yamal was no longer the future of football. He was the present. 3 weeks after the greatest moment of his young life, Lamine Yamal's world was shattered. August 14, 2024. His father, Monir Nasraoui, was stabbed multiple times in a parking lot in Rocafonda. 3 life-threatening wounds to the chest and side. Rushed to intensive care. 4 arrests. a family torn apart by violence in the very neighborhood that raised them. He visited his father in the hospital. Then he reported to Barcelona training. As if the weight of the world wasn't already enough for a 17-year-old boy, his grandmother, Fatima, would later reveal she had received death threats too. The family that had given everything for his dream was now paying a price no one had prepared for. The backlash didn't stop there. For choosing Spain over Morocco, Monir faced threats from both sides. Xenophobic rhetoric from far-right groups in Spain. Anger from parts of the Moroccan community. He was fined for confronting a political party he called racists. And through it all, Lamine kept playing, kept scoring, kept carrying a weight no teenager should bear. Then came the physical toll. Pubalgia, a chronic groin injury that doesn't care how young or talented you are. Barcelona's coach, Hansi Flick, was furious with the Spanish national team for pushing him too hard. Invasive therapy, 7 to 10 days sidelined. But even injured, even in pain, he produced moments of magic. A solo goal against Club Brugge, an assist that defied logic. In a Clasico defeat, Vinicius Jr. taunted him, "You only pass backwards." But everyone knew, this wasn't the real Lamine. Not yet. The boy who had everything, the records, the trophies, the world at his feet, was learning the hardest lesson of all. That greatness doesn't come without cost. That the higher you climb, the sharper the knives, literal and metaphorical, waiting for you. July 2026. The FIFA World Cup. 2 years after his European triumph, LamineYamal was no longer the wonder kid. He was the main event. He scored his first World Cup goal against Saudi Arabia, the 8th youngest scorer in tournament history. He tore through France in the semifinal. And then, the final. The irony was almost too perfect to script. In 2007, a 20-year-old Lionel Messi held a baby LamineYamal in his arms for a charity photo shoot. 19 years later, they faced each other in a World Cup final. The greatest of all time, against the boy who grew up worshipping him. Spain won. Argentina 0. After extra time. And at 18 years and 201 days old, LamineYamal became the 3rd youngest player to ever play in a World Cup final. But more importantly, he became the youngest player in history to win both the European Championship and the World Cup. 248 days younger than Pelé when he won in 1958. The boy from Rocafonda. The boy who shared one room with 10 people. The boy whose grandmother snuck onto a bus from Morocco with nothing but courage. That boy is a World Cup champion. Today, LamineYamal lives in Sant-Joan-d'Espí, near Barcelona's training ground. He wears the number 10, the shirt of Messi, of Ronaldinho, of Rivaldo. He has moved his father to an upscale area of Barcelona. He has bought his grandmother a home in the neighborhood she built with her own hands. And when he scores, he holds up 3 fingers. Then 0. Then 4. 304, the last 3 digits of Rocafonda's postcode. A love letter to where he came from. He once said, "I see my mother happy. I see my little brother having the childhood I wish I had. Seeing my father at peace in his home, my grandmother at peace in hers. That's everything a child could ask for." He is 19 years old. He has won the Euros. He has won the World Cup. He has won 2 Copa trophies, a golden boy, and the hearts of millions. And yet, when you strip away the records, the fame, the fortune, he is still that boy from Rocafonda. Still that kid who played with a worn ball in the street. Still that grandson who made a grandmother's sacrifice worth every mile of that bus ride from Tangier. They say legends are born, but LamineYamal proves they are built. Built by grandmothers on buses, by mothers working night shifts, by fathers who nearly died for their son's name. Built by a boy who never forgot where he came from, even as he carried a nation to places it had never been.